It felt like we was going through the loop. We was on a roller coaster. Miss Williams totaled my vehicle and destroyed my life.
At the time it happened, I was like asking if she was okay. She didn't even care if I was okay.
He got a new roommate who's also a dancer stripper. I just can't trust a stripper.
I clean the tub before I use it, running some water around.
Then how did the
clean
water
it.
get to the people downstairs?
I would assume the floors just aren't that good.
Plaintiff Tracey Spears let a coworker drive her car. Now the car is destroyed, and she's suing for $5,000. Defendant Sherica Williams claims it was the car's bald tires and not her driving that caused the accident, and she's countersuing for $360 for traffic tickets.
Yes.
Case 40 on the docket, Spears versus Williams.
Okay, let's see what we have here. Ms. Spears, you are suing the defendant, Ms. Williams, in the amount of $5,000 for car damages. And you, the defendant, Ms. Williams, you are suing the plaintiff in the amount of $360 for vehicle violations. I assume that means traffic tickets.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, why don't we start with you?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm here today because Miss Williams totaled my vehicle and destroyed my life.
Tell me about it.
Me and Miss Williams, we're co-workers. We were on a schedule from 3:30 to midnight, working Sunday through Thursday, off on Fridays and Saturdays, with the same schedule. I purchased a vehicle, but I did not have license.
You don't have a driver's license?
Correct.
And why did you purchase a vehicle?
Basically, the schedule that I had before was from 2 to 10:30,
Yeah.
which is I was still able to catch the bus. But when the schedule changed, it changed from 3:30 to midnight, I was no longer able to catch the bus.
So you needed the car to get to work, but you would
keep
have
my
to find
job.
someone else to drive the car.
Correct, until I can go ahead and get my license. I haven't drove in 10 years, so I need to take the driving test again.
I see. So now you have the car. Now what's going on here?
I get a call from a mutual coworker that tells me that Ms. Williams has been renting a rental car for several months, and that was getting to be expensive. And why don't I contact her and we could all carpool together? She offered to pay for gas, she offered to pay for maintenance, and she offered to pay for car insurance, and I told her no. I don't want to take advantage of that situation. You could pay just for gas, and we can carpool together because you live 7 or 8 minutes away from me.
You own the car. You agreed to pay for the maintenance of the car, and you agreed to drive the car and pay for the gas. And what about insurance?
I paid the insurance.
You pay the insurance. What kind of insurance? Liability?
Liability.
Liability insurance, okay. And where is the car kept? Well, I guess it's kept where you are because you have to drive over to get her.
On the weekends, I had a rental car, so it's just to go back and forth
Just to go
work.
back, that was the arrangement.
Her car was already had wear and tear, so and it's not my car, and I want to be able to go where I want to go when I want to go.
Okay. Now, what happened on the night of why are you suing her for this amount of money for damages?
On the second week is when it happened. That Sunday we rode together, that Monday we rode together, that Tuesday we got off at midnight.
What happened?
It was raining, and we were on the expressway, and when we were on the expressway, it felt like we was going through the loop. We was on a roller coaster. As soon as we came out the loop, the car did a 360 and hydroplane against the guardrail. It hit the front of the car, and I have a video. It hit the back of the car,
Let's take a look at the video. Okay, so this is like going around a circle?
Yes.
And
She was doing 68, as she told the police. And when we came out the circle, it just hydroplaned and it hit the guardrail. The back of the car shattered in pieces.
And you were sitting in what?
Passenger
Passenger
side.
seat. Were you hurt?
I went to the emergency room right after, and then I have my proof of paperwork of that too.
Let me hear from you.
Before I drove, someone else drove her car before me and had an accident. She had a previous friend that drove and got the car, hit a tractor trailer or something. The back left was already dented and the tires were scrubbing on the back left.
And what is your role here?
My husband was there. He was the one that told her, hey, you need to get these tires fixed. She on the right side, the first and the back. And she got frustrated. She was like, I don't even want to talk about it right now. It's giving me a headache. Turn the radio up. He was letting her know, because he rode at first to see if I was safe to be in there.
Okay, this was like the first week.
Yes.
Okay,
So
on the night of the accident, The police came.
When the police came, I told the policeman what speed I was going because I seen what I was doing. I do it all the time. That's how I go home.
Yeah.
He was explaining that the balding tires, along with the speed at the time with the weather, that was a bad combination.
Yeah.
Okay? I drive that way all the time. So had there been, the tires have not been neglected because both of them were bald.
All right.
When I hit the puddle, I already felt a little shaking. So that's why, because I was actually going a little faster than that, but I slowed down because it started to rain. And I did.
You got a ticket, as I understand it. Tell me if I'm wrong. You've got 3 separate tickets.
Yes.
One for bad tires.
Yes. One for
One
failure.
for failure to maintain the lane, and one for driving too fast for the condition.
Yes.
And we'll get to the bad tires in a moment. But it clearly was too fast for the conditions.
Right.
And under the agreement you two had,
I agreed to pay for the half of the amount of the car that she said she paid for. She said she paid $900 for a car. And I said, I will take half responsibility because I was driving, but it's still her car. And she should have had the tire. She should have had the tires done like she said, because she told me make sure I had the gas and everything. I didn't think things through at the time. I wanted to help. Even still after the accident, I said, I'm still going to take you to work. I still rented the car and was still taking her to work with no charge or anything. I was at the moment, I just wanted to solve things. I wanted, at the time it happened, I was like asking if she was okay. She didn't even care if I was okay.
Okay.
The first thing she was like was, where's my phone and my car? I'm like, my life, your life. I'm thankful to be here to even speak, you know what I'm saying? How you acting like this, like be human.
Under the agreement, as you're all explaining it to me, you were in charge of the maintenance of the car, because it was your car. You were in charge of the driving part, the gas, etc.
Yes.
So here's the deal. Looking at these tickets, there are 2 causes of this accident. Part is the bald tires. She got a ticket for bald tires, so the police officer obviously thought that was a factor. Since she's only been driving for 2 weeks, I am going to conclude that tires don't go bald in just 2 weeks. That part was your responsibility. It's not the only thing, but that part, the bald tires, which contributed to this accident, was your responsibility. For you, driving too fast for the conditions, failing to keep control of the vehicle. So, you are suing for several items here. First, the cost of the vehicle has been totaled, right?
Correct.
Do I have any receipts for any of this?
For the total of the vehicle?
Yeah, you come here with a lawsuit. Do you have
it's
the
at
receipt?
The junkyard. I mean, the car wouldn't even turn over. The car.
I understand, but if you're filing a suit and you want me to give a monetary award, then I have to see something which tells me how much you should be getting.
I do have the Blue Book value.
Between $1,000 and $2,500. For damages, you are suing for $505 in damages. Receipts for that?
That is for the 2 days I missed at work, also my filing fee, and my cell phone. My cell phone got cracked in the accident.
The court is based on proof, and you're showing up without receipts is inexcusable. I am awarding the plaintiff half the cost of the car, which we determined $2,500, so $1,250. I'm not going to give anything on the car damages because the actual car damages you didn't bring receipts for, and emotional distress I'm going to dismiss. On the countersuit of the defendant, I am awarding the defendant only 1/3 of the traffic violation because 1/3 was her responsibility, the bald tires, but 2/3 was your responsibility. Okay. So when I deduct what you get because of 2/3 of the traffic tickets, with the offset, judgment in favor of the plaintiff for $1,130.
Thank you.
I think that this has been a very great learning experience. It definitely has changed my life.
I should have kept my rental car. Where it was safe, where all my tires were legit.
Plaintiff Bruce Cornelius claims the defendant stopped paying their rent and let an overflowing bathtub do thousands in damage. So he's suing for $5,000. Defendants, Chris Fisher and Rebecca Griffith, claim they did pay their rent and didn't do any damage. So they owe nothing.
And nothing but the truth. Case 93 on the docket. Cornelius versus Fisher and Griffith.
And welcome to you all. Let's see what we have here. We have the plaintiff, Mr. Cornelius, and you are suing the defendants, Mr. Fisher and Ms. Griffith, for $5,000 for unpaid rent, damages, cleaning fees, and eviction fees. Wow. Okay, what's the story?
I've had the good fortune to have a very bright and organized property manager who's worked with me from the time that Mr. Fisher first signed the lease until now. And she can provide, I think, the details better than I could.
Okay, if you would step forth, and your name is?
Ashley Janicki.
Okay. You are the property manager where the defendants were residing.
Correct.
What do you know about this?
Chris had signed a lease with us back in April of 2017.
Yes.
His first stripper girlfriend had moved in at that time, and there was no
A stripper girlfriend.
correct. There was no issues
there-
with
Super
there was no
necessary.
issues with missed rent or anything during that time, and then she had left, and he got a new roommate who's also a dancer stripper. Since she moved in, there's
Okay.
been missed rent since June when they signed the lease, and then October there was no rent paid at all. And at that time, I communicated with Chris as to, how can we figure out to get you caught up on back rent. And I also did not talk about the property
Okay.
damage that happened in
Okay,
January.
we'll get to that in a moment. Why haven't you paid the rent?
I have paid the rent. I pay in cash. I gave money to him every month for this.
Oh, okay. So if she's giving you the cash,
Also not the
why
story
haven't
that
you
we're
paid?
told.
When I got my paychecks, I went and paid. I won't verify that what month was given to me every single month by her, but when I got my paychecks, I went and deposited my $650 every single time. Yes, I missed October, but I always tried to at least pay my half every single month.
That's interesting.
But you never paid directly, you only paid him.
No, I gave him the money for the vast majority of the rent.
Okay, but you can see what happened here.
I was working 2 jobs during that whole time to make sure
You
I
worked
could.
3 days a week. What? I was working double shifts and 8
I
inch
literally
heels.
had 2 jobs that whole time.
Oh my God.
How much was the rent a month?
It was $13.50 a month.
And they were paid up through,
They didn't pay in full at the very first month.
you're saying there's never been a month that they paid in full?
Correct.
Now, I have a sheet here of the payments they made.
Payments and fees, correct.
The lease started in what month?
June 1st of 2018.
Okay, so of June 18, they were short $63, July short $135, August short $201. So every month they're short here $135. The next month, October of 18, nothing was paid.
It's not like we were just missing the money. We still paid that back. I mean, we were a little bit behind, but we paid it back still.
So my question to you is, as of now, knowing, how much are you saying, assuming that you have to pay $1,350 a month, how much are you behind now for the time that you stayed there?
I'm not behind on anything.
She signed a lease. Yes,
Well,
you are.
you both signed the lease. What are you saying? Did you,
I was paying my share of it as best as I could.
between the two of you, $1,350 had to be paid every month.
Yes.
Knowing that $1,350 is due every month, how much is owed in order to bring it up to this date that they would have gotten $1,350 every month? How much are they behind?
That would be a total of $6,334 that they are back.
As far as this document is concerned, each of you could be liable for the whole thing or half the thing, but you have to come up between the two of you with $1,350 a month. Now, when did you move out?
When did I move out?
Good question.
When did you move out?
June? No.
No.
It was like March.
March.
And when did you move out?
I moved out when the eviction notice came,
When did you get the notice?
April 1st.
So the money is owed through the end of March.
Yes.
And so one of the questions then is between the two of you, how it should be paid. You were kind of shaking your head when she was saying this amount of money was owed for the rent, But do you have receipts of what you paid?
I have bank statements of everything that they put into the account.
I'll take a look
which
at
is
that.
also on the lease for them to make a direct payment to that account. I was in constant communication with Chris
Okay.
the entire time. Rebecca, not so much. She lost her phone. I couldn't get contact her at all. I never received any messages until the eviction notice. And then there was a discussion of, I can pay you $500 all of a sudden. Well, where was the $500 in your entire lease?
Good question.
So there is a dispute going on with you two, but what is clear, what is not in dispute, is that they owed the money for the months that they weren't paid. Now, what's this with damages?
So what's interesting is when talking to Chris and missing October rent, the communication was that she lost her job or she wasn't there. He was working the 2 jobs, yes, to pay as much, and we were working with him to make sure that he could get caught up. And then all of a sudden, in the end of January, I get a phone call on a Saturday night from my lower tenant, and there's water pouring into her kid's bedroom.
Oh my goodness.
So I had to call a restoration company to go out there to figure out what was going on, and Chris was not home. I did not have Becca's new number, or if she even had a contact number, I don't even know. So it turns out the bathroom tub was on, and she was up there.
I clean the tub before I use it, you know, so I
Okay.
was just running some water
But
around
then how did
to
the
clean
water
it.
get to the people downstairs?
I don't know. I would assume the floors just aren't that good.
Pouring water does not just dribble down from a little bit of water coming out of a tub. The tub had to have been overflowing
It
with the
definitely
amount
was
of
not.
water that was coming down in the dam. It created
Even
a
the guy who came in
4-foot
said. Even the guy who came in
4-foot
said there was
damage
not
in
that
the
much water. There
ceiling
was barely even any moisture.
on a kid's room, on the kid's bed while they're sleeping.
Well, here's what we have. We don't even get to the damages because just the rent that is admittedly owed is more than the $5,000. So this court can't even get to that issue.
We understand that, and rather than tracking them down, moving out of state, and I cannot be able to contact Rebecca, she does not have a phone, and I'd rather not go through the state trying to do that, and we'll accept the $5,000 and just call it as it is.
What do you want to say on your behalf before I make a judgment?
I'm very sorry how everything worked out with you guys. I very much enjoyed living at that unit. I guess I should just choose my roommates more carefully in the future.
Same.
Oh, so things aren't good between you two.
It's the first time we've hung out since she moved out, so.
Yeah, if you call this hanging out. Times have changed. Yeah, we don't serve drinks here. Okay, because the law is clear that because you both signed the lease, you are both individually or jointly liable. So the best way I can split it up, since I can't get involved in what your relationship is, nor is there any evidence what any formal agreement between the two of you was.
Yeah, it was all a verbal agreement.
Yeah, it was all verbal. What I will find then is judgment in favor of the plaintiff for $5,000 to be split between the two of you, $2,500 for each.
A little bit confused between the two and why they couldn't figure out who paid what. We were told very different things from one to the other, so that was, but they can handle that themselves. I believe Chris is obviously telling the truth. I mean, he's been a great tenant, and I just can't trust a stripper.
Some people choose to do things differently in their life.
Like play video games all day?
Ooh, at least I'm not getting drunk all the time.
Oh, really? I thought that was together.
Thanks for watching. Now please approach the bench. The way I look at it, you have 2 options here. Option A, watch more Judge Jerry. Option B, watch more Jerry Springer. The choice is yours. Now get out of my courtroom. You have more clips to watch. And don't forget to subscribe.